Hello, good afternoon, good evening, good morning, and welcome. It's Nurse Richard, the Wax Wizard. Thank you for joining me for this episode. And there's two really interesting ears, both from the same patient. And he was about 60 years old, and he came to see me because I don't think he'd had anything done with his ears in the past, but he came to see me because he obviously had trouble hearing, which is generally speaking the biggest reason why people come and see me, because it's the easiest to fix usually, and often the cheapest too. If somebody goes to get a hearing test and hearing aids, it's a lot more expensive, so it's cheaper to rule out an obvious cause of it first. But although both of his ears were pretty full of dead skin, this wasn't the reason why he was having trouble hearing. It made a little bit of difference, but that wasn't the reason why he was having trouble hearing, and it will become quite clear why in a second. Now, bit of a little peel first in this one. Few epic peels in the one coming up as well, for those of you who enjoy peels. But have a look at this. I'm going to focus in on this, and he still can't hear very well, so I asked him to pinch his nose and blow. That's the Valsalva manoeuvre, and watch what happens behind the eardrum. You'll see some bubbles any minute now. There we go. Can you see all those bubbles behind the eardrum? And a few up here as well. A bit of artistic license gone into this. And you may be thinking, what on earth's that about? What's caused that? The long and short of it is he's probably got a blocked eustachian tube, of which there can be many reasons for this. I can have just a narrow one. Now the eustachian tube, those regulars will know all this, but for anyone who's not seen these videos before, I will briefly explain what it is and what it does. So behind your eardrum, there's an air-filled space, usually air-filled, not in this one, an air-filled space, and that's the middle ear, and that's joined via the eustachian tube, which goes across here and to the back of the nose. Now normally it's shut. Every now and then it opens to allow air in through there, so it means that the air pressure on the inside of the ear in the middle ear space is equal to the air pressure in the outer ear, because you need it to be balanced perfectly and able to hear very well. Now when that's not the case, you can get an imbalance in the air pressure because there's an issue with that eustachian tube opening and shutting, or it's narrow, or there's a blockage in it, or there's a blockage in the back of the nose. Then you get an imbalance, you get a negative pressure. Now that negative pressure causes like a vacuum effect, and it can draw in all the fluid from all the surrounding structures behind it, and that's what's happened here. So it's filled up with fluid, and that's why he couldn't hear. So when he pinched his nose and blew, then that's called the Valsalva manoeuvre. He's forced air up the nose, along the eustachian tube, and into that middle ear space. And because you're forced air in there when it's full of fluid, it blows bubbles. And so obviously it's something that I need to refer him to, because we need to look into the cause of that blockage in his eustachian tube. Like I said, of which there can be many. It can be just narrow. You could have a nasal problem. You can even have a mass in the nasal passages, or in the nasopharynx. So serious things can't be ruled out. So I've referred him onwards to ear, nose and throat, and hopefully we'll get that looked into. Now, this one was proving the far more difficult one to do. It's quite a tricky ear to get into, and got a lot of this dead skin, but this was really odd how this one presented, because now we can already see the eardrum, the majority of it anyway, and ordinarily you take one look at that and think, well, it looks okay. But this goes to show why it's important to peel away anything that's on the ear canal, just to see what's underneath it, because there was quite a profound retraction pocket on an area of this gentleman's eardrum, and you don't normally find them there as well. And so a retraction pocket is when, again, you've got the negative air pressure. I don't think there's any fluid behind this one. When you've got that negative air pressure and it pulls in the eardrum like really pulls it inwards, and some of it can kind of give way, and you get a retraction pocket. And he's got one in the bottom left of this one. Like I said, it's not normally where you get it. It's more than likely, it's usually in the softer part of the eardrum, which is at the top, where you can get these little sucked in areas. And because he's got that sucked in area where you wouldn't expect it, I think as the eardrum sheds itself, it sheds from the centre outwards, sheds a top layer of skin, and as it's shedding, it's falling into this pocket. And I think it's fallen into that pocket and continue to fall into that pocket, and then you've ended up with this here, this really thick, stubborn layer of dead skin that it takes me a while to peel away. And while we're doing that, let me tell you what's been going on. It's Monday today, as I'm recording this. Weekend was a busy weekend. It was an expensive weekend. I'll tell you why. Been trying to find some new hobbies for my youngest son since he stopped playing rugby, and he's always loved go-karting. There's a few go-kart tracks, like indoor go-kart tracks. It's quite popular around here, and he's been to this one close to us for a few times, birthday parties and just occasional treats. And I'm always told by the instructors there how good he is, and he's extremely fast for his age. All that time he's probably spent on his Xbox playing driving games, as he always has done. They said he's got something, this kid. So we looked into it, and we got him some lessons, and he went for his first karting lesson this weekend, and he beat everybody else in his group by about 20 seconds. It takes about a minute to get round this lap. So they're like, they said, I don't think he should be in this group. I think we'll move him up to the more advanced group straight away. And yeah, it's not a cheap hobby. Anything to do with motorsport, unfortunately. But if he loves it and it's something that he's good at, then so be it. He had a whale of a time. So maybe we've got a new Sterling Moss in the family. Showing the age there, Sterling Moss. Nobody will know who he is. Have we got a new Sebastian Vettel in the family then? Or Max Verstappen, something a bit more modern that you'll have heard of, but for me, the saying is Sterling Moss. Anyway, I've put a bit of oil in this, and it made a big difference, and you'll see this pocket. Another reason why it's been a very expensive day, I bought my wife a new car this weekend too. Traded in my old one. Sad to see it go. But I bought her a new car, an all-electric car as well. Thought we'd do our bit for the planet. And since we bought that, I've actually started walking to work. It's not that far. It's only 2 or 3 miles from our house. So I thought, get a bit fitter, save the planet, less cars on the road, spraying dirty diesel out. And so I've started walking to work. So we're probably going to need 1 car, to be honest. We still have 2. But the other one just sat on the drive doing nothing. Now you'll see, now there is a lot of oil in this, so it's not as clear as it could be when we take this out, this retraction pocket, but it's still pretty obvious. So have a look at that there on the left-hand side. You can quite clearly see how sucked in it is there, and like I said before, that's not normally somewhere that would be so sucked in. So the skin shed, it's fallen into that, and it's like expanded outwards towards the down the ear canal. Glad we got it out. Certainly needs looking into and further investigation, this anyway. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for more. But for now, take care of yourself, and I'll see you soon. Ta-da.